Good Sunday afternoon. Happy spring for those of you who are north of me. Happy sprinter, because I know some of you are still, this is April, you're still out snowshoeing in the woods. Thankfully here it is nice and sunny. We were out playing frisbee today. But I wanted to get back after we've done with Easter, we've done with Passover. I wanted to get back to talking about radically downsizing the kitchen. And first we talked about big appliances, the stove, the fridge, the dishwasher. How much do you need? How much do you really need? How much do you actually use? And then we went on to small appliances and pantry, and then we took a break for the holidays, during which time of course I celebrate Passover, so my whole kitchen has been torn apart for about a week and a half, but today we're done. Actually last night we were done, and so things are beginning to be put back where they're supposed to be. All the Passover dishes have now been put away, which gives me a great opportunity to spring clean and really think about all of the things that were in the cupboards that were taped over during Passover that I couldn't use. How much of it do I really need? How much of it do I really use? Back at the beginning of this journey through downsizing the kitchen, we talked about what are the most popular dishes you cook, what is your style of cooking, what does your family love, and really focus on what do you need to do 80–90% of what you do, and is there a way to outsource the rest? I know for me, I love to cook Indian food, but I have realized that there's a lot of spices, a lot of ingredients, a lot of equipment that I just don't want to have hanging around my kitchen all the time, getting in my way, cluttering up my life, cluttering up my cooking when I don't use it more than 4 or 5 times a year. So my decision there with the Indian food is I'm not going to have everything to make Indian food from scratch. If I really want Indian food made from scratch, I'm going to go out to an Indian restaurant. I will have things to do pseudo Indian food in my own kitchen, spice mixes, equipment that will do in a pinch, but I'm not going to stock my entire kitchen to do something that I don't actually do that often. So I'm going to outsource that, and it's a lot easier to let somebody else cook for 3 days than it is for me. So today we're going to talk about the pots, the pans, the spatulas, all the other equipment that comes in the kitchen. Next week we're going to talk about the actual kitchen itself, counter space, the layout, how many butts do you need in your kitchen, or want, and we will get to that next week by what I mean by that. But so what do you need for all those dishes that you like to cook, and even your holiday dishes that you cook often, and we will talk in another video about how to streamline your holidays, and so that you do several, have some core dishes for any holiday. But today we're talking about pots, pans, spatulas. How many do you really need? So if we look back at the way we cook, and we can actually whittle it down. I've been reading a book this week called The Power of Less, by Leo, can't pronounce his last name, I will put it in the comments. And he boils it down to what is the essential, get rid of the rest. And so for me, it's not so what do you need, what all of the pots and pans you need, what can you get away with? What can do in a pinch without stressing you out and still produce a good result? Do you need a frying pan, an egg pan, a saute pan, this pan, that pan, the next pan? Can you get away with the saute pan and the frying pan and maybe a griddle, which is what I have here. I have the cast iron frying pan, the skillet, I have the griddle, I have a non-stick pan that is probably going to go out and get replaced by these. The skillet and the non-stick are probably going to get replaced by a carbon steel skillet. And then I have the saute pan because it's got nice thick sides. I'll show you. So it's kind of halfway between a saucepan, but it's a nice flat open space for getting rid of a lot of liquid quickly, so that it thickens down to a nice thick sauce. And I have a couple of pots and pans, and really it's very easy to start with nothing. It's a lot easier to start with nothing and work your way up to what you really need. What can you get away with in the pots and pans and in the spatulas? Do you really need 6? I mean, they're cute, but do you really need 6 when you only ever use 3? So what I suggest, because it's a lot easier with the spatulas and all those implements, it's a lot more difficult with everything else, but with the spatulas and the implements, take them all away, take them out of the kitchen, and only bring back what you really need, one at a time. So you're cooking, I cooked a spaghetti sauce today because we're having eggplant parm for dinner. I brought back a spatula. I brought back a couple of spatulas this weekend because if you cook at lunchtime, you cook at dinner time. I don't want to have to wash the dishes in between, so I have 2. Really, it's a lot easier with all these, and they gather so quickly and so much. Take them all out and only bring back what you need to cook. And at the end of a couple of weeks, what is it that never made it back in? Do you really need it? Is it a holiday dish you cook it for? If you can't think what this spatula, this slicer, this whatever it is, you use it for, then get rid of it. And if that scares you, put it in the attic or the basement for a couple of months, and if you still haven't used it, out it goes. Now, one of the things that I have had people come to me and with angst is talking about sets of saucepans. You buy a set of 10 pieces, frying pans, saute pans, saucepans, lids. They don't want to break up a set. And I get it when you're talking about a nativity set, or you're talking about a set of fine china, or you're talking about something that has resale value higher in an intact set than it does in individual pieces. But let's face it, how many of us are going to sell our pots and pans once we're done with them? You know, if you're anything like me, they are done. By the time you're done with them and you're thinking of buying a new set, they'd have no resale value. And so maintaining the set simply because it came in a set is really not adding value to your life. I bought a set of pans because it was a lot cheaper, even though I knew there were 2 pieces in there, a little egg pan and a smaller frying pan, that I was never going to use. It was actually, even without buying those, buying the individual pieces that I did want to use was actually going to be more expensive than buying the big set. So I kept the pieces that I wanted, and I gifted the 2 little frying pans to a couple of students who had nothing. I still saved money in buying the pots and pans, but I didn't feel the need to keep them all simply because I bought them in a set. And a lot of the time when we buy pans, when we buy knives, when we buy all kinds of things, we think we have to keep them together as a set, but there really is no value beyond the savings when you first bought them of that set of pans once you've used it. There's no resale value. You know, there's a resale value in a nativity set because you have to have all the pieces to be able to use it, but pans, you use 1, 2 at a time. So break your mindset of having to, because you bought it in a set, you have to keep it in a set. You don't. You can get rid of the pieces that you don't really need. You only whittle it down to what is essential. What do you need? What can you get away with that will help you create more space in your kitchen, make it cooking easier, and help you save, you know, time, money, space to make your life less stressful. And that is what I want you to think about when you're paring down, if you spring clean, when you're paring down the things in your kitchen. What do you really actually truly need, and get rid of the rest, because it's cluttering up your kitchen and cluttering up your mind and making it more difficult to cook, not easier. So I hope you have a great rest of the Sunday. I hope you're ready for Monday, and I know I'm slightly delayed because the dishwasher was going and the washing machine was going, and there was sushi and dumplings being made in my kitchen today, so I'm slightly delayed, but I hope you have a great Sunday, and I will talk with you soon.